This is crazy, but reflecting back on my fitness goals for 2025, I accomplished them. And considering this started as my worst year ever, kind of crazy. Every month, I accomplished a different goal.
100. I did it, yeah.
Specifically because I use science-based tactics. So today I've broken down every single science-based tactic I used over the last year to run my first marathon. Be consistent with Pilates and weight training. Have a consistent sleep score. And plenty more. And they're simpler than you think. January, you guys saw I woke up at 5 a.m. every day for a year, which leads me to tactic number 1, get enough sleep. Being underslept results in spiked hunger, reduced energy, decreased ability to make decisions, aka just doing anything productive, healthy is really hard. And if you watch my 2024 challenge that I woke up at 5 a.m. every single day and that became a habit, you're probably thinking, hey, those are inconsistent. Sleeping enough and waking up early don't go hand in hand. I disagree, because leaning into a night routine helped me have great sleep and actually shift my circadian rhythm to waking up early versus the mentality of like forcing your body to wake up at super early that will sabotage your productivity and defeat the whole purpose. So really what it came down to is slowly shifting my night routine earlier and earlier and earlier, so I had a great quality sleep to the point that my body naturally woke up at 5 a.m. So science-based tactic number 1 to achieve your goals, make sure you're getting enough sleep. February, of course, we did the video of scientific ways women should train, which leads me to number 2, proper training. And I'm going to specifically quote Dr. Stacy Sims, which if you watch my channel this year, you've heard me say this 1,000 times, making sure you're recovering enough. One reason people fall off fitness is I feel it leaves them feeling broken, not leaving them feeling good. And this really mainly comes down to recovering. So our new mantra for the year, there's no such thing as overtraining, there's only such thing as under recovering. AKA, as you go balls to the wall the next little bit, pushing yourself in your workout routine is great, but you have to make sure you're recovering properly, which means eating enough calories, ideally making sure you get proper macros in that: protein, fats, carbs, and of course fiber. 2, enough sleep. 3, have rest days. 4, some kind of mental rest and some kind of fun. By doing this will make sure you don't throw your hormones out of whack, which will make sticking to your goals impossible and also lead to really bad results. Speaking of hormones, 3, March. And tactic number 3, science-based cycle syncing. You want to do this so your energy matches your goals. Sorry, men. This one's not for you. Now, what we learned is to debunk the Pinterest one, because you're going to be bombarded with a lot of workout routines right now. I have a whole video about this once again if you want more details, but there's 4 stages of your menstrual cycle. There's a menstrual cycle, follicular, ovulation, and luteal. And a lot of the Pinterest cycles you'll see is it's like you're menstruating. First, take your time, relax, Pilates, slow girl. Then in your follicular, that's when you start pushing yourself. That's when you weight train. That's when you do your sprints. Then also, you'll see online that during ovulation is also when you're like push yourself but scale back. And so you know this is go for a run. And lastly, luteal phase. The worst phase, PMS, is when you should just chill, relax too. And suddenly you start to realize that like we're telling women to just relax for 21 days and not weight train. And that is incredibly problematic. Yes, you need rest days, you need deload weeks, but women should be weight training every single week. Ideally, it's not like your body's not capable of weightlifting. So I do love to match your energy and it is important, but we also can't baby women, because if we baby ourselves, we're not going to push ourselves, and then that leads to things like osteoporosis. And so really to summarize how to match your energy is your menstrual cycle is one of the best times actually for your energy. It's just really inconvenient. It's annoying. We're literally bleeding. Like that is annoying, and every single woman's going to be slightly different with different PMS things, but technically in general, your menstrual cycle is when to really push yourself. Follicular ovulation, hang on. And then luteal, it sucks, but you don't have to give up training. You can do tactics. Dr. Stacy Sims recommends a ton of how to deal with your symptoms best. But then at the same time, some women have extreme menstrual cycle and PMS, and that's a whole different story. But in general, just realize if you're looking at your month of training and you have a very consistent cycle and you know you really have to push yourself, try and match it with your menstrual cycle or follicular. That's kind of the goal. So yes, our menstrual cycle will impact our ability to give 100% and hit a PR, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't work out those other days. Speaking of no energy and something you can do, it leads me to April and the scientific tactic you can use specifically for when you fall off, because I feel April for most people is when you start to fall off. That March, April, the original motivation, life's getting busy, you kind of slipped up a little bit. The placebo effect. Fun fact, the placebo effect is one of the most proven, real, and scientifically documented phenomena with measurable biological effects. Countless times in studies, the placebo effect ends up to being the result. And if you don't know what the placebo effect is a phenomenon where a person sees physical or mental health changes after receiving a sham or dummy treatment. AKA if they want to test a supplement for a bunch of people, one person just gets a sugar pill. And just the act of taking the sugar pill, they convince themselves they're seeing results. And I did this in April when, I'm sorry I had to bring it up. It was a major life thing. My dad this year, and that came out of nowhere. So yeah, I wasn't in the best mental place to be working out in April. So what did I do? I placebo affected myself. At this moment, I've been taking creatine pretty consistently, which is a great supplement. And I just lied to myself about this. I told myself creatine is the answer to all my problems because it can help with like jet lag and sleep deprivation. So I was like, yeah, I'm not sleeping. I'm fine. I'm taking creatine. This scoop, my recovery, 100%. I feel great from just a scoop. And yeah, creatine does have a lot of benefits, which is great. But my unpopular opinion is if you're someone who loves a ginger juice in the morning, that's just kind of your thing. Tell yourself that's helping your digestion. Tell yourself that's going to be the cure to all these things, because I feel sometimes those little things are a nice little trigger and just sets us up for momentum to actually do the other things. Like it's just a mental switch. So whatever that is to you, to get some motivation, to get you back on, tell yourself your creatine is going to solve all your problems. That ginger shot that's going to do absolutely nothing but just provide a little extra nutrients. Yeah, it's solving all your problems. And the whole point is that it's just a little trigger, easy habit you can do that will build momentum, because the placebo effect is real, science-based, and you can use it to leverage your own motivation. Of course, you can use actually beneficial supplements like creatine to trigger this habit and placebo affect yourself. So it's actually benefits versus just taking like a ginger shot. For example, one supplement that I took every single day over the last year was Element. And I'm pretty proud to say I trained for a marathon this year, which we'll talk about later on. And guess what? I did not experience once this entire year. Cramps. Yep. Ran a full marathon training. Did I cramp? Not even once. And I think that is thanks to getting in enough electrolytes. And of course, my favorite electrolyte is Element because of its science-based ratio of 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. It tastes delicious. It's the easiest habit to do. You just put in your water, the citrus, grapefruit, chocolate, divine. It's like water flavoring, but beneficial. But don't just treat it like water flavoring. Of course, it is a supplement. You need to take the proper amount for your own needs. I love it because it's trusted by professionals in the NBA, NHL, NFL, and of course, yours truly. It got me through the Berlin Marathon, and I am so thankful I had that in my repertoire for the year. And of course, I'm not going to talk about it and not give you guys a code. If you go to drinklmnt.com/Keltie, you'll get one of their bestseller packets with your purchase. It's a great way to try the most popular flavors like raspberry and citrus, or share with a salty friend. Once again, that's drinklmnt.com/Keltie. Thank you, Element, for sponsoring this video and this entire year, because I did indeed drink it every single day of 2025. Which leads me into restarting my run streak in May. And my fifth science-based tactic you can do is building a healthy habit. Now, I love a habit because then it makes everything default. And for me, I just did it as a little challenge, but then it got me back into my running routine. Like I was off running, and then every day I was just like, I just had to do a little bit of a run. And before you know it, I was running all the time. I remember why I like running, and then I actually wanted to follow a program. So how many days does it actually take to build a habit? According to Scientific America, it varies. There's a lot of conflicting things. You'll see a popular one online that it's 21 days, which actually originated from a 1960s self-help book, Psycho-Cybernetics. Almost half a century later, researchers finally gathered strong evidence that countered this idea. A Hallmark 2009 study on habit creation found the habits developed in a range of 18 to 254 days, which they've averaged out to 66. And you know what I think it comes down to? Read Atomic Habits by James Clear. It really comes down to how easy a habit is, how hard it is, how much it matches your current lifestyle. So realize there's no real magic number, but typically if it's something that's already hardwired into you, it's gonna be easier. And if it's on the harder end, you're gonna have to put in a bit more work, but just realize that. So you're like, yeah, having a sip of water every single morning with your coffee probably takes 21 days. Becoming a full marathon runner probably is going to be more of that 254 days. Or on the flip side, like quitting smoking and getting rid of that, like something like a really hard habit you're breaking. But with that, with things like the run streak and all that, I never want to glamorize that you have to do something every single day. You just like, part of the run streak can include your rest days. Like still check it off, just account for it. And then also I'm going to leave you with a James Clear quote. Missing one day is an accident, missing two is a new habit. And I think that's a nice little mantra mantra to go for. Like, you'll miss a few days and that's okay. It's when you start to miss 2 days come April, then the bad habit's starting to form. Now into June and my 6th habit we talked about before. How do we make this habit is you can do things like make it enjoyable. You can make it easy. There's so many different ways like that, but I would say one of the easiest ways is to make it a hobby, make it fun. And what did I do? I did a form of fitness that was a pure hobby, fun, built a skill. I learned how to play tennis. And right now we're all looking for hobbies and an excuse to get off our phones and just be offline and more in real life. And one of the great things I would recommend is like find a sport, find an activity that's a hobby. It's not necessarily just like fitness. It's just like an added bonus that you're getting some cardio or weights in, but it's really a hobby for your social life. And learning a new skill is so important, just even for us cognitively as we get older, and it's fun. It's easy to go play tennis, a lot easier than just jumping on the elliptical. So number 6, find a form of fitness that's a hobby. On to July, and my 7th science-based tactic you can use is realistic goals. You've probably heard of SMART goal protocol, which stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And I think a lot of people really focus on the first ones, like specifically it's measurable and the time it'll take. But I think a lot of people skip out on potentially the one most important one is realistic. And we need to put ourselves aside. And I'm going to use an example of what I did back then. That was why I think I was able to run a marathon is I was realistic with myself. I used the app Runna, absolutely love. And Runna, it really opened my eyes because when I signed up for my marathon, put the marathon I was doing, I thought they would say, what's your goal? And in my mind, someone who would qualify as like a running influencer, I guess. I'm not fully, but like I'm in that world. My goal would be like, yeah, no, sub 4, sub 3 I'm going for, which is so unrealistic. And what Runna actually did is I had to give my most recent PR. So it was like, what is your current 10-kilometer time? And I had to put that in, and then they calculated, oh, you're training for 12 weeks with this speed. This should be a realistic goal. And I, in that moment, could have put my PR, which is around 40 minutes. I've ran 10 kilometers in 40 minutes in the past. But I had to be honest with myself. The first third of the year was awful. My fitness was not there. It was just winter. I was not running consistently. And I put my 10-kilometer time as 60 minutes, which is not an embarrassing time, but I was embarrassed by it because I was like, that's 20 minutes slower than my best time. I'm like, if I were to go outside and run right now, that's the speed I'd run at. And doing that is I never injured myself in my marathon training because I was running at a speed that my body was actually at, and I accomplished my number one goal, which was to completing a marathon healthy because I was realistic with where I was. And the cool thing about fitness is it's a thing for life. So I had to remind myself of, yeah, the goal right now is just to finish a marathon. And then after that, maybe one day I'll train for a sub 4. And maybe in 10 years, I can try and train for a sub 3 if that's really what I want in my life. But realize like you can have those goals, but you have to have like milestone goals along the way. And so realistic. August, I developed what I would dare say the perfect science-based morning routine for women. Yes. Yeah. But anyways, let's talk about it. Tactic number 2, a science-based morning routine. Because there is something magical about a morning routine and just like having it set you up to really be focused on your goals. And it just, we all know it. When you're morning, everything's set out, you get the things done, the rest of your day just is a bit more seamless. So here are the things that I made up in my science-based morning routine. 1, sleep 7 to 9 hours. 2, drink some water plus electrolytes if you've been very active. Get in some carbs and protein before your workout. Do something that energizes you. Morning sunlight, cold exposure, playing with your kids. Also have a moment of solitude, either a few deep breaths or a full meditation practice. Move your body, brush your teeth, and do something that makes you feel controlled for the rest of your day. Agenda, to-do list. And I think if you're doing something in all those, you're killing it. And that can be 1 minute, that can be your solitude is just 3 deep breaths, or you can be someone who has 4 hours in the morning and do a whole meditation and run for an hour and write a book. But most of us don't have that. Because, which leads me to number 9, account for real life. Like back to school and deadlines. Let's be realistic with ourselves. Life happens. There's things on your calendar that you have to account for. And it sounds great in theory that you're going to be consistent with your workouts every single day for the rest of the year, but you're not. Because chaos is going to come out of nowhere called work deadlines, family stuff, and school finals. Yeah, they're coming. So account for them when you build your program right now. Example me, that's what I did. End of September was the end of my marathon, and I had to do a medical procedure this year that I knew would result in 2 to 8 weeks of not being able to work out, not be able to run, lift weights, like I could just walk. And so you know what was not the best time to do that? Right before my marathon. So I planned it right after my marathon because I knew I probably would have zero motivation to get back to running after my marathon and doing all that. I would just mentally need the break. So I was like, you know what? This is the perfect time to do it. So just try and account for things like that, whether it be motivation, life events, and don't pretend you're just gonna power through it, because you're not, because your job and school is more important than training for your marathon at the end of the day. Which leads me to number 10. And what I did in that time when I wasn't working out is creating a productive environment and the science of triggers. Because your environment could be one of the most impactful thing of your triggers. And a trigger can be something that reminds you to do a healthy habit, like my water bottle just sitting here right now with some tasty electrolytes in. I do love me some Element. Lucy, go drink some water. But it can also be a trigger for bad things. Like, for example, what would be a good example? Your phone charger is beside your bed. You're gonna charge your phone beside your bed. You're more likely to work on your phone at night. Exactly. And the reason is, specifically from the book, The Habit Loop by Charles Duhigg, there is 3 parts to habits. 1, the cue, the trigger that tells your brain to go into automatic mode. 2, the routine, the behavior itself you perform. And 3, the reward, the positive outcome that satisfies the craving and tells your body this is worth doing again. And here's how much your routine, work, car can affect these triggers. This is so powerful that during the Vietnam War, a massive percent of soldiers were using a illegal substance. I won't say because YouTube will get mad at me and age gate this. And they thought they would all come back with these crippling addictions. But something crazy happened. In the American Journal of Public Health article by Lee N. Robbins, PhD, Darlene H. Davis, David N. Nurko, how permanent was Vietnam drug addiction? More than 60% of detected addicts stopped all narcotic use as they left Vietnam and did not resume it after returning to the States. So one of the most addictive substances, 60% were just instantly able to quit just by changing their environment because there wasn't the cue, they weren't around it, so it just no longer occurred to them. So there's 2 options you can do. Option 1, for breaking a bad habit, redo your environment so there isn't a cue for you to do said bad habit. Option 2, for building a good habit, set up your environment so it's so easy and simple to do the habit you want to implement, like having your gym bag in your car. Speaking of the gym, habit number 11, progressive overload. Now, in November, I was finally cleared to weight train again, and I started doing hybrid training so I could get my running in and weight training. And after almost 8 weeks off of the gym, I was weak. We're talking hip thrusting the bar. No weights on, just the bar. But there's a concept I like to remind myself, is there's only one guaranteed in working out. If you keep lifting and trying to lift a little heavier, you'll get stronger. And it can be so discouraging getting back into working out, specifically if you're getting back into it after the holidays. And you lift things for the first time and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? And in that moment, just remind yourself, this is the worst it will ever be. So just embrace it right now. You're slow, you're weak, you suck. You don't suck, you just might suck at said exercise right now. And go in with that mentality versus going in with the mentality that you should already be strong or fast. Because no, you're there to get strong and fast. And even leaning into what we talked about in a previous video, dopamine and the friction. In that moment, I kind of tell myself, when I have that friction, when it feels tough, that will eventually become craveable. Go to my video of how to force your brain to crave working out for more on that. And lastly, December, science-based hack to achieve your healthy habits you want to this year is social. In lock-in time, grind time, I think we all have this idea of you have to isolate yourself. You have to be away just on your own. And specifically, no social plans. Put up boundaries. Now, yes, boundaries are good, specifically if your whole goal is to sleep more. Raving every night till 2 a.m. and waking up at 5 a.m. for work is not the best. Even if your friends invite you, you should put up boundaries. But a fun fact from the National Geographic. All super agers, so these people who live to be over 100, have one personality trait in common, a social life. And I don't think we talk about how often isolating yourself will completely drain your energy. Just think of it evolutionary-wise. If you are alone for days on end by yourself, what does your body think? You're dying, you're lost, you lost your tribe. You're going to die any second. So talk about stress for your body. What are the things we're all trying to eliminate is stress. And isolating yourself for days on end is going to add to that stress, even if it doesn't feel like it, because it's comfortable. And sometimes we have to realize uncomfortable isn't always necessarily stressful. Some people, social life is going out dancing. For me, I love a night out on a Saturday night, just going out dancing with my friends, because that's the end of the burnout cycle. Like, it helps me relieve stress. Some people, it's leaning into more dawn culture, morning coffees, walk with friends, knitting with someone. Just in these moments while you're planning out, doing all your healthy habits. Yes, you might have to eliminate some social life because we only have so many hours in a day. You're like, oh yeah, Keltie, I would love to have a social life, but I have this thing called a job and children, trying to get to the gym. And that's true. But don't think your social life you have to eliminate to achieve the goals. If there's only so many hours in a day, that's a different story. That's life. But don't eliminate it to think that's going to push you away farther from your goals, because so many times in myself, I isolate myself in these grind moments and I don't see my friends. And then I just don't feel good. And it's kind of subconscious. It's not a really obvious lack of energy. And the second I go hang out with my friends, because in my mind I'm like, oh, I'm tired. It's going to be so much energy. The second I see them, boom, more energy and having a social life. And of course, that level of social you need is going to depend how introverted or extroverted you are. But regardless, you need some kind of social interaction. So a long-worded way of, you're going to have to prioritize your time and your schedule right now, but don't think eliminating your social life completely is the answer. That's actually the answer to living longer, because people with a healthy social life, a community, feeling a part of something will be a lot less stressed. And isn't that always what we're just trying to do at the end of the day? Because if you're stressed, none of these things matter, because you're not, because you're a ball of stress. But I know a lot of you are on a new grind. We're back to it. Even if it's not a New Year's resolution, just getting back to it after the chaos of the holidays. And we're reestablishing our routines, which feels so good. So no need to feel bad, because that's the whole point of the holidays, is you throw off your routine so much and enjoy, and then it makes you crave your routine again. So here's to us enjoying our routines, and hopefully you can use some of these tactics to help you implement whatever healthy habits you are. And I would love to hear down in the comments, what's your goal for 2026? You have a fitness goal, a mental health goal. I would just love to hear it. And there's a kind of place you can talk about it and maybe cheer each other on. Go down and cheer some people on. And most importantly though, have a great day. Go pet a dog. Love you guys. Bye.